I'm only slightly nervous by the travellers on the field.
Driving through industrial park hell.
The car park's closed, but we just managed to squeeze past the gate. What a way to finish the day! Under a waterfall. Well, on the hunt for old things that might be useful, I found this wheel lock that I've got for a trailer. Unfortunately, it's too small for the size of the camper van wheels. And the other unfortunate thing was, as I took it out, I dropped it and managed to wreck the keys. So at the moment we've got no security other than our door key. Well, before we set off, I want to add this sticker that we were given by friends to our Stampy. I'm actually quarter Welsh myself. It might help us fit in a little bit. There we go. Well, thanks to everyone who commented and viewed our last video about the weighbridge. I should point out that we did that just to benchmark where the van was, you know, because we don't know what it was like when it rolled out the factory and what additions have been made or what's missing. So it was a benchmark based on the very basics of the van. You see, what we pack is the variable and the benchmark is almost a fixed number we can work with. So we didn't know what we were going to pack for this trip that we're doing now, or what trip we might do in the future. So we can use that benchmark and then work against that.
And we are off!
To Wales!
Yay! It only took us about 4 hours to pack.
7 hours.
Was it 7? I'm really excited because I just phoned up my first pub in the Brit Stops booklet and they went, why yes, of course you can stay. I can't do a Welsh accent, sorry. And they were really lovely and really friendly. So that was the Waterloo Inn. Yes, the Waterloo Inn, quite close to Newport. And it's right by RSPB site. So I'm quite excited about the location too. There's Indie plotting world domination. I said, there you are, plotting world domination. You alright, Etty?
Yeah.
Phoenix, are you there?
Yeah.
So we're finally on the road after 7 hours. Where are we heading to?
We're heading to South Wales to a Brit stop. I like to plan meticulously, and then we thought at one point we'd throw caution to the wind and just say we won't plan any of it, and then we'll see how we go. And then we realised with children and other things to factor in, you've got to do a little bit of planning. So we had an idea where we were going to go, and Bees run them up and they're cool about us. When we left, I just put in a rough navigation for Wales just so we could get through the countryside, but now we know where we're going. I'm trying out a different app. Normally I use Google Maps, but we're trying out, I think it's the Road Lords app, which allows us to put in the height, length and weight of the vehicle, and hopefully it will keep us away from low bridges or other obstacles that we might otherwise be too big for. So we'll see how that goes.
I quite like how there's some hillbilly as your character in this Road Lords. Maybe he's the lord of the road. Absolutely. I like the baseball cap.
That's my Dukes of Hazzard look.
Yeah. You can't grow a tash like that, dear.
Now, I know it's traditional to forget something when you go away, and I've just spotted a light on my dashboard which reminded me I forgot to go and fill up. So as lovely as this countryside is, we've now got to head to town to fill up. Well, we found somewhere to stop and fill up, a Tesco's. I've just spent £99. That's the cost of adventure, and also the first time I've ever hit the maximum you're allowed to take out of a pump.
Yummy. Spy in the distance the Severn Bridge.
I see it, the white bridge.
Yes, we are nearly in Wales. Over the Prince of Wales Bridge. It's looking very foggy. We're a little nervous because we are 2 minutes from our destination and we are literally just driving through industrial park hell. Also, Daz and I are both dressed in shorts.
And it's raining.
Oh, it's okay, it's just for one night, but we are going to be really close to an RSPB nature reserve, so I'm hoping that suddenly it's going to change, and it has. It has suddenly changed. That's good news.
You're kidding, like, is everybody parked up
Waterloo
here?
Inn. So here's the Waterloo Inn. And there's a lot of motorhomes. There's the Waterloo Inn. I recognise the front.
After 600 feet, you will reach your
Down there,
destination.
that pub there. So well done, you've done the first leg of the journey, and how are you feeling, Daz?
Good. We cruised at about 60 all the way here, so it felt like it took quite a while. There's a lot of power lines around here, and in the distance some big industrial things, but there's also, we just passed a whole field of cows, and so I saw some llamas over a fence, and even though we pulled in and we saw 15 odd motorhomes, which takes the shine and the sort of specialness of the little space, got to remember they're probably like-minded people, so there's nothing wrong with this. I think we'll just get some food inside ourselves and then maybe take a wander in the pub and grab a pint. There we go, look. Big old chimney.
Whoa!
Don't mind windmills.
No, I don't mind a wind
I
turbine.
just don't like pylons.
No, pylons are pretty ugly, aren't they? But never mind, doesn't matter.
So-
It's just an overnighter, and even though we're going to go and enjoy the pub, it is a free overnight stop, so that is a joy.
It is, minus the cost of the beer, although we do get some value from that.
We've travelled all the way through here, up through North Hampshire. Daddy reckons we did make it through Berkshire, which is there. So we probably did a little whiz through here. We definitely went through Gloucestershire. Okay, so we would have crossed over the Severn Bridge and we've just travelled down here. We're very, very close to Newport here. Okay, so here we are at the Waterloo Inn. This is where we're going to have a drink and find out whether we can go for a walk nearby.
This is the reward.
This is the reward, yes. Cheers.
7 hours of packing and 3 hours of driving.
It should taste like sweet amber nectar.
I put some mayonnaise on mine.
So really impressed with the vegan options that are available here. Some of them weren't available, but there's some nice things considering.
Put some mayonnaise on it.
Certainly going to fill some bellies tonight.
Well, just down the road from the Waterloo Inn is an RSPB wetland centre. The car park's closed, but we just managed to squeeze past the gate. And we're just going to go and find out if we can go in and have a little walk around before putting the kids to bed.
So here's the entrance to the wetland centre. The boys are convinced that we shouldn't be going in here. But there's a nice little gap and dog walks and things. So we're 20 past 8 in the evening. We'll have a little look around. And this is also part of the Wales Coast Path. So the wetlands experience is that way. The lighthouse is that way. The orchid trail and the sculpture trail is that way. Wind is all. Yeah! Mummy was doing some reading on the way and she found out about why Wales is called Wales and why the Welsh are called the Welsh. And it is all to do with the Anglo-Saxons. In 1066 was when William the Conqueror invaded England from France. But way before that, the Romans had their empire over in England, okay? And they actually had a legion really close to here in a town that we're going to visit tomorrow. And just towards the end of the Roman Empire, about year 410, they were battling everybody. They were trying to defeat the Scots and they were trying to defeat the Picts. And the Anglo-Saxons were actually invited over to help them. Okay, so the Anglo-Saxons that came over from, I think it's Saxony, which is Germany, were here originally because they were invited to help the Romans, but by the end of the Roman Empire, the Saxons kind of went, actually, we think we're going to settle here and we kind of want you Romans gone too. So when the Romans did shift out, the Saxons kind of went to all the native people, the Britons. They went, hang on, we don't believe in Christianity, we're pagans, you can get lost. And they eventually pushed all the Britons into Wales and the southwest of England, so Cornwall. And they came up with the term Welsh, which actually meant foreigner, even though they were here originally, those Britons.
Well, that was a nice little walk, wasn't it? Like Bea said, the Anglo-Saxons gave the Welsh the name Wales, but Wales in Welsh is Cymru, which actually translates as something completely different, as friends and fellow countrymen, or a Welshman, something far more positive. And it looks like another motorhome has joined us for the night in the car park, and we're just being watched by these sheep who seemed very interested in us 2 seconds ago, but not so sure about us now. Exactly.
Yeah, I understand why there are so many wind turbines in this area now.
Morning, everybody from Wales. Well, that was an interesting night, apart from some music in the pub and a helicopter hanging over our heads a little bit last night, I think it was, and the kids chatting till God knows what time. It was all right. And thanks for all those who gave us the tip of using a duvet as a mattress topper. That seemed to help too.
Yeah, I seem to be awake on and off during the course of the night, listening to the whistling wind and the rain. But it was quite comfortable. I've woken up quite comfortable, so that's quite nice. I haven't got any crick neck pain or anything. But last night there was a tiny mini disaster as we were preparing for bed and getting the duvets and things down from the top section of the motorhome. One of our lovely little squirrels spilt his tea, and as you do when you realise a disaster is at hand, sometimes you just sit there and stare at it and process it. And I was stuck up a ladder behind a couple of other bodies and just watching the tea spill across the table, and it soaked across the nice sticky rubber mat that Daryl had cut to make sure the boy stuff didn't slip. And there were headphones. Luckily, no really expensive devices, but they weren't far off. The tsunami of tea that was travelling across the table. But it did get into the box with some of the boys' home ed stuff in. Hopefully that will dry out. And of course, emergency situation, Daryl reached for the first thing that could absorb the liquid, which was our towel that's in the bathroom, which is fine if you're at home. You could just bung it in the washing machine. But of course, no, we're camping, so I don't know when I'm going to get that cleaned. So we've got a hand towel covered in tea now. So it's all a learning experience, and I'm sure it's something we'll remember in the future and laugh about.
Half toast, half bread. Our 6-year-old has very unique demands.
Well, while one boy reads, 2 others play.
Censored.
Censored.
I'm letting my deodorant dry.
Yes. Well, I'm already missing the dishwasher at home.
Yeah, I love washing up.
Thankfully, I'm only on drying duty. I've just got to find my tea towel. There it is. Okay, I'm ready.
I was just saying to Daz how nice it is to be leaving at 9:30. We've all had our breakfast. All the kids are washed and dressed and they've all done a bit of reading and now they're doing a little bit of gaming before we get to Killeen. And I don't think at home we would have got out at 9:30. So that's quite a nice change.
The river, I'll scout the window, boys, not sure.
Oh look, it's it's
a bit
yeah, I imagine it's probably quite lacking in water at the moment. Roman barracks and amphitheatre.
Down here, according to Google Maps, there was right next to the open air Roman amphitheatre, which we should be able to walk around, was a great big coach park, and sure enough, there's already a motorhome there.
In fact, there's more than one motorhome.
Oh no, the Romans. Always a bonus, public toilets. Now they didn't show on Google Maps when I was checking. Let's try and see if they're open. Someone's going to come and open these at 10, I hope. So we've got a little friend right outside the toilets. Right, now they're open. Let's see what's inside. Oh, hello. Hello, Mr. Moss. So, as we leave Stampy and a fellow motorhomer in the car park, I'm only slightly nervous by the travellers on the field as they have a tiny reputation. But we're only here for a brief visit. We've got the amphitheatre, museum's open in 2 minutes apparently. There's the remains of luxury Roman baths and a fort to go and check out. So we'll see what we manage to tick off.
Oh, maybe we should go down the steps. Probably the safest bet, huh? So, of course, an amphitheatre is circular. If you think about the Colosseum, you would have had your seating all the way around the outside, and this would have housed 6,000 spectators. Obviously, this is just the ruins of it, but 6,000 legionnaires would have sat and watched the entertainment. What sort of things do you think happened at a Colosseum, boys? Fights! Yes, it was a lot of bloodthirsty battles, but also displays of wild animals as well they would have had here. And it was basically entertainment because the legionnaires, the Roman legion, was sort of stationed here, and this was a really good way, I suppose, keeping them entertained. So AD 90 this came about. I just said to the boys, we're in the year 2022. It's an astonishing period of time to be around for. This almost looks like some sort of fire. I have to find out why they have this in the amphitheatre. A 12th century scholar wrote about this area and said that this was where King Arthur, the legend of King Arthur, this is where he was crowned, and actually suggested that this was the remains of his round table. But of course he had a great imagination. Apparently, one of these entrances has a niche within it, and that is a shrine for the god or goddess Nemesis. I'm not sure which gender Nemesis is. But I don't know, that one looks more like an oven. Who knows? Oh my gosh, Nemesis has appeared, deciding upon the fate of the gladiatorial combat. Walking in the footsteps of the Romans. Okay, so it's free entry,
to the Roman Legionary Museum in Killeen. And it's open on a Sunday. What a result. We're just in the museum and we were wondering whether this little pin here with the link to the mosaic could be a Fishbourne Roman palace, which we have visited many times. And that's about the size of a legion. Indy and I were just suggesting we'd quite like to be this chap here.
For some reason my eyes went to this one. Apparently sage is soaked in wine, which shouldn't be hard to find. Sage was thought to help itchy privates.
Oh, it's quite handy if you can't access the showers.
Yeah, as motorhomers, I'm sure it's probably a frequent event. What are you doing, boys?
I did it.
I found a person.
There's got to be more than one Phoenix. So you've got to find the mice or the rats in the Roman latrines.
I found one.
They're all in that toilet.
Hey, I wonder what's in the next.
It's actually slightly nicer height than the motorhome toilet.
Yeah, it's quite sociable, these kind of toilets, aren't they? You can have a chat.
Sort of hi-fi.
Yeah. And then you'd need to get your stick with a bit of cloth on the end, because in Roman times there was no toilet paper. So you just have your stick with some, I think it was like some sort of cloth, and you'd give it a little rinse and then cover it in some spices.
No, that's about what? Oh, sorry, you're right. So this stone coffin was discovered accidentally by a JCB digger doing some excavations in 1995, hence some of the damage. There's our 40-year-old Roman centurion. Looks about as comfortable in there as the first night we spent in the motorhome. Well, this is great. Even the museum toilet's authentic.
Now, the legend of King Arthur now takes us to the Hanbury Arms, and Alfred, Lord Tennyson, who wrote a 12-sectioned poem all about King Arthur and the characters within the myth or the story, or is it history? Who knows? Ah yes, this blue plaque suggests that he began writing Idylls of the King here. I imagine if he sat and did the whole thing here, he would have been here for many, many weeks, perhaps months. It's quite long. Just following the Roman wall back to the amphitheatre after a lovely stroll around Killeen and a nice time in the Roman Legion Museum, where the volunteers and workers were really helpful and really engaged with the children, showing them replica daggers that the centurions would have carried. And we finished the trail and got some free postcards and pencils, which will be very handy for our postcard writing. That's amazing.
Wow.
Daddy, what do we have here?
So these are the Roman barracks.
1969, right?
Like the room we just saw in the museum where they simulated the sleeping quarters and the living quarters. This was it. So they had their amphitheatre just over there for their entertainment. And then they've got these barracks, which apparently are the most complete barracks. There goes.
Good recovery.
Most complete barracks out in northern Europe, so outside of Italy.
That's amazing.
Excavated many moons ago. A bit of a, really, it's the travel lodge of the Roman era.
Swimming to Swan Lake.
Right, let's find the bread ovens.
You can see that these are barracks because all of the rooms are that similar size. Quite humble and quite, you're in close quarters with everybody else. We are right by Carefully Castle. So boys, this is the second biggest castle in Britain. And what's the first, Indy? Take a guess?
No idea.
It's Windsor Castle, where Queenie is. Yes, Caerphilly Castle. Or Caerphilly Castle.
Yes, Caerphilly.
And there's its famous Leaning Tower. In fact, I think it leans more than the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Just spotted there's a rather optimistic statue holding the turret up over there.
I'm really glad there's lots of restoration going on at Caerphilly Castle. I think they're going to plough a lot of money into it, millions of pounds, because even though it's a ruin, it does feel a little bit uncared for around here.
Well, we spotted this on the map on our way into town. It's a statue of Tommy Cooper, someone I was enjoyed watching on TV with my parents on any kind of royal variety show. Born in Caerphilly in, I think it was March 1921, and died in 1984, quite famously on stage. Just like that. Just like that. Not like that. Just like that. He talks to the animals. That's a big chunk. You're generous today. Oh dear. Now they're all doing it.
They're chasing us out.
We loved the history of South East Wales, although at times it felt industrial with a lot of development going on, not what we were really expecting. We were looking forward to a more rural Wales as we headed north towards the Brecon Beacons. Feels like for every 2 hills I go up, I only come down one. No wonder it looks like we're in the clouds.
Still, anything's better than the industrial park hell that we feel like we've been in for the last day. I'm guessing we're now in the Brecon Beacons National Park because it's suddenly got a lot nicer.
I've seen a sign, but we're not far away from our stop.
So this is a very, very narrow path. Daz just said this is like we're driving up somebody's drive to go to their...
It's like Alice in Wonderland, it's just getting smaller and smaller.
I noticed you've reverted back to maps. Was Road Lords not your favourite?
Right. The thing was, we came here on the motorway and the big roads, and we were not far from the industrial site, so really all the roads we were going down weren't going to be really a good test of that app. I didn't like the viewpoint, it was too zoomed in, so we came to a junction. By the time I needed to know if it was left or right, or to check how many junctions were around the exits were around the roundabout, we were already on the roundabout. This is when an app like that would have been kind of useful to give us maybe a narrow gauge, not just a height. But this is single track, and I haven't seen many pass points. Fingers crossed that we get to the end okay.
I'm just hoping that this luscious weather has put lots of people off.
Well, if we're going to go and see a waterfall, this is the weather.
Yeah, this is... If we don't get to see the waterfall, at least we're seeing some water falling. Albeit from the sky. Where are we, Daz?
You know what? I can't pronounce it. All I do know is we're going to get to walk behind a waterfall. How cool is that?
A Celtic rainforest.
Like cold rainforest.
Yes, I've heard.
There's apparently really good ones in Scotland. I see
Yes.
waterfall.
Where are we looking? Oh my god. if you can hear me or see me. What a way to finish the day, under a waterfall.
Whoa! It's giant. So wet.
We've just left the waterfalls. It was absolutely beautiful. The highest waterfalls in Wales at 90 feet, and I think we were all entranced and enthralled by it. But it is absolutely pouring it down, and we have a pile of clothes to dry. So we're really grateful for the fact that we've booked in for the Brecons National Touring Park. I think that's what it's called, for the next 2 nights. So it's costing a pretty penny, but I'm hoping that we can get some clothes dry, and of course we can connect to the all-important electricity, because tomorrow is a Monday. Daz is going to need to connect for work. We'll have to do a bit of home ed in the mornings and on Tuesday, but we also plan to go and visit the National Show Caves and hopefully see some more waterfalls. Really grateful for those hiking boots.
I think we put 50 litres in, and we've already used probably half of that in a day and a half.
No showers.
That's no showers, that's just copious amounts of tea. Well, we've made it to the site. Thankfully it's quite level. We've got our electricity point over there. So I haven't had to use the chocks, I'm just going to get the cable plugged in. That'll make the kids happy. Whereas a hot kettle and a cup of tea will make me happy. If you liked our video, why not bookmark it by subscribing? And until our next escape, thanks for watching.